Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
For live.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
This live
Are you
talk.
ready? Are
Live
you
talk.
ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
Live talk.
For the word of the day, the knowledge and the wisdom will increase your faith. Are you ready? For live talk,
Yeah.
because it's about time to set it off. Are you ready?
Let's go.
For the word of the day, the knowledge and the wisdom will increase your faith. Are you ready? For live talk,
Yeah.
because it's about time to set it off.
Live talk. This live talk. Live. Living in vital energy. The universal language spirituality. Living in vital energy. The universal language spirituality. We're going all the way live with it. With live talk, increase your mentality, put away carnality, and increase your spirituality. Let's
Are you
go.
ready?
Live talk.
Are you ready?
This live talk.
Are you ready?
Live talk.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
Live talk.
For the word of the day, the knowledge and the wisdom will increase your faith. Are you ready? For live talk, because it's about time to set it off. Well, shalom and welcome everyone to Live Talk. I'm your host, Arthur Jeremiah, alongside my co-host, Minister Samuel,
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome back again.
and also my other host, co-host, Shubael, the ambassador.
Peace, peace.
And then we have live in the studio, we have our dear sister, Queen Aaliyah,
How you doing?
and my dearest, the one and only, Queen Abigail.
Hello, hello.
Well, I hope y'all ready, because there's going to be another big show today. Fire, we're coming with it today. I'm pretty sure, I hope you guys out there, you're going to chime in today. Let us hear from you. Before we get into that, we'll give you just a rundown of the show today. First, we'll have the minister open us up with the word of the day, some inspirational. Then right after that, we get right into live talk. And then after live talk, we're gonna have a word from the ambassador. He gives us his thoughts in society. And then you have the author pick of the day, a reading of the day, if you will. And then we'll close out right after that. So with no further ado, we're gonna get right into the word of the day by the minister. Minister, what's the word of the day?
Word of the day. We're gonna get ready to bring a word of the day. Quote for the day. Let me get my extra set of eyes on here, and we'll get right into it. Okay, we're talking about relationships and nurturing a relationship. I often point out that people take better care of their cars than they do their relationship, than they do their bodies. The same can be said of relationships. Relationships stall, break down, won't start, and fall apart due to a lack of proper maintenance. Just as your car needs fresh oil, your relationship needs fresh romance and activity. When the tires get bald, you need new tires. In a relationship, whatever that was which carried you to where you are, be it the feelings, the emotions, and the standards, when they get worn down, you have to renew them. And just like you have to insure your car, you need insurance on your relationship. And that's both financial and spiritual. If you value it, then take care of it.
Minister, you always come up with some topics beyond the topic. That's almost something you can get in by itself right there. We're talking about proper maintenance and needing insurance. Come on. You open up the doorway to something else.
Hey, with a relationship, we gotta look, it's like we take it for granted. When we take care of them cars, we keep, but why do our cars run smooth? because we take care of
We
them.
take care of it.
And if they break it down, generally it's because you're not taking care of them.
That's true. That's true.
Same with relationships.
So again, we're back again. This been probably our third show. We're talking about relationships. I mean, we talked a little bit about finding the right quality in a person. We talked about that in the first show, and then we came back. We talked a little bit about, is a marriage 50-50? And we're gonna get a little deep into that today because the minister was out. He was out and about, and we really can't get what he really wanted to say about that. But the question is, to me, is why does a relationship matter? We talk about, companionship, friendship, right? We talk about having that helpmate, love and intimacy, right? So that brings us into, when we're talking about the friendship and companionship, it brings us into nurturing a relationship. And one of the definition to nurture is to feed or nourish, to feed or nourish, to promote the development of, to raise by educating, training. So nurturing requires both parties to feed the relationship. So the question is, how do we feed the relationship? And what are some attributes of feeding that relationship? Now I'm gonna start over here since the minister opened up. I start going this way, Abigail, that question. Do you repeat it?
I mean, it's deep. I think one person could do a whole hour on that big of a question, but for myself personally, the way you feed a relationship or nourish a relationship, one of the ways is, of course, you have to keep the fire going. And the fire don't always have to be related directly to the bedroom, although that fire definitely needs to keep going.
Yes, ma'am.
But it can just be in the little things that you do for your mate. Because it's always just those little things. It's just that if your mate has a favorite donut shop that they like. Something just as simple and sweet as coming home with that donut could just be nurturing that relationship. Same could be said about your favorite coffee or your favorite, bottle of wine, or there's a certain musician in town. Hey, guess what? I got you tickets. If you really want to get some points, I got you front row tickets. So there's plenty of ways to nurture that, Jeremiah is definitely into sports. So I can win a lot of points if I come home with some Magic game tickets. I know their goal is to make it to the Dolphin Stadium, and that's definitely nurturing.
Easy score, right?
Easy.
I think you have to know your mate, right?
Yeah, you do. So that's an example.
All right, Sue Ellen.
Queen Abigail just summed it all up for me. It's all about knowing, not just your mate, but even your friend, your family. I know what they like, and I wouldn't want to show you that I care about you enough to where I want you to be happy. So, and not for selfish reasons, because some people will take advantage of that. You know what I mean? And some relationships, as we were speaking on, in the last episode about the percentage, the 50-50 thing, you know what I'm saying? And if you have somebody that is not putting their all spiritually into the relationship, then it's gonna come an imbalance. It's just gonna be a take, because I bring home this, or I do this, or, like I saw a commercial and the dude was like, if I want to play my game all day, I'm going to play my game all day, and I pay the bills here, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. Well, that's not going to work, man. But I totally agree with just knowing, your significant other, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, and your friends. You know what I mean? Because that's as the minister was saying, it's the maintenance. That's what's going to keep it going, because we all want to feel that connection to somebody, not just something, but somebody. That's just us in our spiritual, natural essence.
Okay. And before I get to Aaliyah, I want to remind the audience, that you can chime in. If you're on the app, you can unmute yourself and we'll recognize you that way. Or if you're calling in, you can hit *6. Also, we'll be able to recognize you as well. So the same question, going to you, Miss Aaliyah.
Well, I think that you're nurturing a relationship, you have to carve out time for your mate. All of us work and, most of us have children and different things. And even if, depending on your relationship, everyone doesn't have to do the same thing, but there has to be time where it's just you and your mate. No kids, no friends, no work, no nothing, just you and your mate connecting together.
That's it. That's it. So I mean, you want to chime in as well?
Yeah, I mean, Abigail said a wonderful, I
Yeah.
really want to say something about what she
Oh,
said.
sorry.
No, that was really beautiful. And because you just, like you said, if it's something as simple as a donut or your favorite cup of coffee, see like you said about the fire, it don't have to be in the bedroom, but at one point you would do that for your mate and they'd realize that was a special thing, just that cup of coffee or just that donut from their shop. But all of a sudden now, they not worthy for you to stop by and get a cup of coffee anymore. Then that fire starts to go out. But all it took was,
And to that point, I'm a type of person, I like to create stuff. So I created, I'm gonna do something at a particular time of the year that's outside of any of the holidays that, that you deem a day that you want to honor your queen, and one of the days is around the beginning of the Gregorian calendar year, where I would just make sure that she has flowers. And I've been doing this for the last how many years?
It's been a while. It's been a good while.
And it's been consistent. It's just a way of making sure that you honor your relationship, I think, and then just having, it's a part of honoring your relationship and it's a part of recognizing your mate at the same time. And I'm gonna get into the next question I have for you, because I was about
Before
to
you
get
get into that
okay.
question, I just want to share with the audience and you all how it is too. Because it's not just flowers, it's always like big flowers, like really big flowers that take over my death. Kind of flower.
Hey,
And
You know what?
because this actually started, it might have been tied to, I think, a holiday at first, going back 20 years. But it was always unexpected. The very first time he gave me flowers, I didn't even expect it. And he goes to an extravagant place to get it, but I'll still never forget. At work and people are walking by like, who was that for? I was like, it's for me. And they're like, well, who gave that to you? But it was,
what did you
but
do?
the flowers were so big, they sure did. But the flowers were so big, it took over my entire death. But the flowers also come with a card. And I don't know how he does it, but these cards are always just, it's like as if he hired somebody or just got the right person that know how to write cards and say the right thing. It's like those cards are always like the sweetest thing, to the point that one card is the only card. The very first card he gave me with big flowers, I misplaced. And I was so sad about losing that card because the words were that sweet. So it is the little things. Because like I was literally upset about a card. I'm still mad that I don't have that card. But I didn't lose any more of those cards and I keep it.
And listen, and also, just a little fun fact. She would ask me, where you get this from? I said, I never tell you.
Gotta keep the mystery.
I gotta keep it because they keep some great cards. It's like, you reading my mind? It's one of those type of cards. So, I mean, I want to get into the next part. I was going to continue, but I'm gonna open this next part up when we talk about the 50-50. Minister, you brought this up.
Yeah.
So what does 50-50 means compared to saying 100-100? Now, there's gonna be a question for all. I want Minister to kind of open it up for us.
Because see, the point was behind that one for me in that saying about the 50-50 and 100 in this society, Western society, we've been taught 50-50. There's some beautiful love songs that say 50-50. But when you're in a relationship, especially when you're married, 50-50 means divorce.
Mm.
You're splitting everything up.
Hmm.
In a relationship, the 100-100, what that means is you have to bring your all to the relationship. Like you got to come in, you bring, if you want your relationship to grow and to nurture, you bring it all. You're not bringing 50. Now, there might be a structure of finances or responsibilities, but with the relationship, it has to be you coming in with your all. It's not like, well, I'm hiding anything. Like if there's something in the closet, you need to bring it out of the closet. And then once that's gone, you move it forward. But if you come into a relationship and you got things in the closet that you figure you can't share, eventually they're gonna come out the closet, or you go carry that burden and that weight, and it's gonna create a scenario on you. But that 50-50 was about not, in this society, breaking up. That 100 means you have to give your all. A sports metaphor, what they teach us on the field, you gotta give 110%.
That's it.
You gotta give it all.
Mhm.
And if you value a relationship, you have to be able to give it all. From the beginning of that relationship, all the way through to the end of that relationship.
Hmm.
That's the way you win a game. You supposed to, if you play good in the first quarter, but you drop off in the last three,
You're gonna lose.
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
I'm like, but guys like LeBron and Mike, they leave everything on the court to the last second. Same way you gotta be in a relationship.
Yes, sir. It seemed like you
That's
wanted to
true.
chime in
Well, I
on
just
that.
wanted to a balance, because I like to play both sides of the cards. I don't really like to say devil's advocate like people say. I don't want to be his
Two
advocate.
different.
I know that's right.
Yeah, I don't want to be his advocate, so
Relationship advocate.
there you go. Sometimes 50-50, it just depends on what it is that it just depends on what it is for 50-50. Sometimes 50-50 can be appropriate because 50 plus 50 is 100. And in nurturing, just on the point of nurturing a relationship, it should be 50-50. Because sometimes a person may feel okay with bringing just 20% and watching somebody else bring 80%. That's not fair, because with women, if we change our hair, buy a new dress, you better say something. Because we're going to tell you that's our 50. We're really good at sometimes bringing a little more to the table. And even with that, we're not doing that for, like, that dress was not for me as much as it is for you. That's your hint. Take me out. I want to go dancing. I might not be direct to always say that, but nagging. But if I come home with a nice outfit and my hair done, it's to take me out, not to sit home looking at me. 50-50. I came in halfway. All you got to do is finish.
I call it bring it all.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something about the 50-50. Sometimes it depends on what aspect of relationship, because for some people, you might be better at something than another person. So if you're better at, an example.
Cooking.
Yes, if you're better at cooking, okay, well, mine might be 110%. Yours is not going to be a lot because you either don't know how to cook or you just don't cook. Or my cooking tastes better,
But do you mind bringing 100?
No, because I like cooking.
Yeah.
But I don't like doing the bills. So if you ask me to do the bills, I'm gonna be very resentful, and I'm
Yeah.
generally gonna do a bad job on purpose.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do them.
Yeah.
So don't ask me to do it. So you need to put 100% into paying the bills, because you're not gonna like me when I.
So that's your way of saying, I don't want to do this.
Exactly.
Now that's true.
But I will cook, and I'll cook a good meal. I might not necessarily serve it to you. I'm gonna cook it and have the kitchen looking a mess, and then your percentage to come behind me and clean up.
Well, I'm in agreement with you from that context of the 50. But what I hear when you say that 50, I hear you're saying you're bringing your all.
Yes,
Yeah.
What I perceive in this society of 50-50, it's about what can I
Bills and
hold
everything.
back?
yeah,
Yeah.
Or I'm not, because I don't want to get I'm not going all the way because I don't want to get my feelings hurt.
Mhm.
No, I'm going all the way because I want to experience it to the fullest. That I want it all.
Yeah.
And if some pain comes along with that, that's going to help me in my growth. But I don't want to hold back from it. I might be much better with the children than you with the children. I don't see that as 50-50. I see that as bringing my all. If I know you're not good with the bills, then when I hear 50-50, to me, that means, well, I'm gonna only pay half of it.
And I like to still get
Man, light bill get cut off. Okay, pay the gas, but light got cut off. I'm gonna pay all of them. You gotta bring it all. But then if you're doing the meal, then I let you do the meal. But when it's time, I can do a meal. So I understand the 50 from a structural standpoint, but from that relationship, it's about giving you all. A mate can come home and they may just be worn out. Like coming home with the dress, brothers, open your eyes. When they got new hairdo, they trying to tell you something. If you're too busy watching sports, then you're not nurturing that relationship because they bring it to you. But if she comes home and she is exhausted, too tired to cook, then we might need to eat out that night.
Mhm.
She might need to get her feet rubbed that night.
And run some hot water,
Well,
please.
see-
Pour her a glass of wine. You're gonna win so much points.
You said something, Minister, that sparked the thought. It was wonderful information shared. And you said that, people from an experience we want to hold back. And I know for me and my life and things that I've went through in, relationships and friendships and things like that, I would come into a situation like that because I'm an all or nothing type person. And, I'm a sports guy myself. So it's like it's go hard or go home. That's how they train you. Especially if you have some talent. So when I meet people after a bad experience, like a lot of other people, now I'm kind of holding my cards up there. That's when that 50-50 come in. Because I'm not gonna give you the whole 100. I can't keep it real with you. I can't trust. I can't. But that's when we start to miss out. Because I have to take that bad experience and learn from it, not hold on to it. I got to learn from it, let it go, keep it moving, and then I can begin to nurture myself in a relationship. But if I hold on to a hurt or some ill will, what helped me to do that? I realized something in my spiritual walk that people who I love dearly, right? I can let them say and do whatever to me. My brothers, they done lied to me all types of ways. Hey, my mom and daddy lied to me. They told me Santa Claus would come and bring me some presents. And I accepted it. We grew past that. Why can't I do that with others?
That is, and that's very important. And the key, and we talk about nurturing. See, relationships have to grow, and you really have to grow to the one, like in the beginning of a relationship. That's what I think the sister mentioned about the spirituality. You got to be able to connect with a person, and but you have to build. It's not like you go on a first date, you don't lay everything out. Because you need to know you're with that right person. But once you are in the relationship and now you're in it, then you have to be able to bring your all. Now, see, it wouldn't be wise to go into a relationship that you're not committed to and bring all. But once you're in it, that's when you have to give. I feel you give your all if you want to get your all back from your mate.
All right. Again, to our listening audience, if you want to chime in on the conversation, you can unmute yourself if you're on the app. If by any chance you're calling in, you can hit *6 and you can unmute yourself that way. All right. So I heard the sister said, I heard some of the brothers saying, about nurturing relationship, and I heard a lot about our sisters. So do the woman need more nurturing than the man? Is that
Different
what we're
nurturing.
saying? Or is it,
Different nurture.
Yeah.
and so when it comes to nurturing a relationship, because I heard about the sisters. Now, how does that affect, we talked about, you talked a little bit about patience the week before. But how does that relate to
Men,
the men?
I like how you said that because an advantage to women, in my opinion, that men don't have is that we've been taught to nurture our entire life. We are very good at nurturing and being thoughtful because while you all got to take your t-shirts off and wrestle and fight and rah, they threw a baby doll. Like we a baby at 2, but you still giving us a baby doll. And what we doing? We nurturing. We've been taught to nurture a baby and change this clothes and put the bottle in its mouth. And you showing us how to push a stroller. Then what do they do when they turn 4? They give us what, a toy kitchen set. We learning that. We getting toy vacuum cleaners. We are trained to nurture and be moms and have a family. So when it comes to something as nice as a glass of wine or something, that's points. Because what is the typical female gonna turn around and do? Nurture you. She don't want to do something for you. It's embedded in most women. So it's like, brothers, I feel the more you do for us, you setting yourself up for success because now we can't help but to want to give back what we've always been taught to do. And then we don't even have time for nobody else. It's like, oh, girl, you know what he did? And that's the other thing too. Because now we got to tell everybody.
Well, I'd like to chime in on that one. I know that as I do feel that things are a little bit different now, that children are not necessarily, women are taught that so much anymore. And I know Samuel, we just had a discussion the other day about how his father was with him and how he is with his kids, and he's totally different. His dad was very old school. Do what I say, not what I do type of father. And Samuel is not like that at all. He talks to his kids. He talks to me. It's not, I pay the bills, woman, you just come home and have my food on the table at 6 o'clock.
Yeah. You know what? I'm happy that you brought that up too, because when it comes to nurturing, just to be twisting this out a little bit, a lot of men are raised by single mothers. That could be a small issue as well. Only because then that means the male can be a little too nurtured and think that that's what every woman is supposed to do. That mama, that mama. And I'm a big advocate. Hey, just because the father isn't there doesn't mean a father should not be there. So I don't care if it's granddaddy, uncle, somebody that you grew up with. There has to be a male in your life that you can connect your male child with, because he needs a man. He's gonna need that man. We can't give him everything. Yeah, we could be that nurturer, but he still needs a man in his life. And I think that that's where a lot of women do drop the ball.
Yeah, I agree with that because I have one of my daughters, and her thing is she always compare I don't say every single been with one guy, but she compares him to me and to her granddad. And I don't think it's fair to him living in the nowadays in society where, you're talking about old school, you're talking about some, coming up to, in this age and time, where her granddad was old school, he did what you're talking about, go out, he paid the bills, he did those type of things. He came in and, he brought everything in. And likewise with a person like myself, I do something similar. However, we in a relationship where we're bringing, both of us are bringing in. And I think we can't get caught up on how we perceive, a decade or 2 decades ago and try to create that type of man or even that type of woman in this society. But we have to understand that, we're living in a society that we are pretty much equal in a sense, so when it comes to when we're talking about, bringing 50-50, bringing 100-100, You know, I side more with the 100. The reason and the reason for that is this: when in a relationship, we grow, right? Individually, we grow. We on path. We can grow as a relationship, but individually, we gonna grow individually. And there are certain things that we're gonna come across individually that we have certain goals that we're seeking, you know, on the individual state, right? And likewise with the other mate. So when we're moving in a direction to accomplish reaching those goals, it depends on where your mate is at that time. Now that mate, yeah, you bring 50 and 50 to the relationship, but as far as us building and growing together, there's another 50% that has to be added on to that. That, to me, that's 100%. You know, because if you leave yourself at 50%, the relationship never grows, you know, to reach where I say it should reach, you know. And a part of nurturing relationship, and I'm opening this back up because we talked about this last week, and I think we always talk about when we talk about attributes and nurturing relationship is communication. Now, I heard a lot of indirect communication from you sisters, like if I don't pay the bills, that's an indication that I don't want to pay the bills. And the same thing with you. If you come home, you dressed all up, looking good and all this here, we don't know what to think. First thing I'm gonna think is, wow, I would like to have a moment with her. But the thing is, communication and effective communication is very important in a relationship. And when it comes to effective communication, I think it's a difference between us having, sometimes we don't know how to have that conversation, right? So if, you know, the garbage ain't been taken out, you know, you upset, Sammy ain't took the garbage out. It's the third time he didn't take the garbage out. You trying to figure out how to tell him. Now you can come up and say, if you don't take that garbage out, I'm gonna put this broom down. You can say, you know, you don't never take the garbage out. It's ways you communicate. Or you can say, hey, you know, I noticed that you didn't take the garbage out. Was it a reason of, you know, you not remembering? Is this something that's you don't see? You don't see the garbage falling on the floor. We have to do a better job with it because we're creating, you know, gnats. We're creating all type of bugs, etc. You know, it's a different form of communication that's more effective than what I mentioned before. So I'm opening up as far as nurturing relationship is effective communication a key, and then what that looks like as effective communication.
I want that one, and I want to also answer also with the last one. Communication is important. How you said nurturing, is it just for the sisters or the women or the brothers? It is, nurturing is important for men, and it's also important for women. But we have to understand and respect the differences. Now, some brothers might not agree with this, but I'm gonna put it out there. We're different than our female counterparts. I look at us, for example, we're like a tree. Okay, a tree pretty much grow. If it rains, it can miss raining for a few days, a week. The rings inside go change, but that tree will keep on growing. Our sisters are more like flowers, and they need more cultivation. But because they're so beautiful, they come in an array of colors, sizes, and shapes. So it's because we're different. So those flowers require a certain amount of attention. We basically just need water and sun. Most of us as guys, we see black and white and some gray. Our counterparts bring the color and the vibrant, which helps to complete us. So we do need nurturing, but our nurturing is different. Like you saying, if he's doing too much, I'm using that analogy. Okay, you're supposed to be the tree, and she's supposed to be the flower. So you don't want to mix up those roles. But that's where the communication that you're talking about comes in. As men, we see things black and white. And as beautiful as you look when you came in with that dress and that hair, if he misses it, you might have to see.
Yeah. He
Sometimes.
don't miss, cause he
No,
says,
but
where
I'm-
you
I'm-
going? And I
Sometimes
said,
with the
"We."
subtle hints,
But you're right,
our heads get like that sometimes.
Yes,
It-
sir.
it-
You're right.
it's like, we watching the game, we watching the news, some things go like,
Mhm.
and you all are like, it's a hurricane on. Do you not see what's going on?
Absolutely, you're right.
And for us, sometimes you need to say, honey, come look and see this.
Mhm.
And then we'll pay attention. But communication is very important because you have to know your mate, but then you have to be able to respect the fact of, are they, are we communicating to where we're on the same page? Or if you on page 5 and I'm on page 1, we
We're working it.
and unfortunately, and brothers might not all agree with this, but we kind of slow sometime in that department. And that's where y'all are much more shrewder and astute. So y'all have to get us up on page 5. Come on up from page 1, we're on page 5.
Yeah. I like that analogy.
I totally agree
I
with
like
that.
that
'Cause
analogy.
I be admitting it sometimes. Hey, I'm a little slow sometimes.
Honestly,
I don't think a lot of men would admit to something like that.
that's the
Truth be
problem.
told, I don't think a lot of men would admit that.
Our ego is so, for example, like, I know Abigail, she's shrewd businesswoman and sharp. Some men can't deal with a woman who's shrewd and sharp.
And quick.
And quick, see, but what you should do is you should nurture that and take it to, rather than, oh, I'm gonna put that down because she's smarter, if she's smarter than you, admit that it's like our ego gets in the way of our relationships because we got some of them old school, like you said, the man and we were in the pants. It's like, bro, what does that mean nowadays?
Right.
Women they got more jeans than we
I'm
do.
serious.
And I like the fact now that they wear their jeans.
I'm
Okay?
serious. Yeah, man.
I wear the pants. Okay, well, take your pants off.
Okay.
Well, I wanted to say something about, too, in nurturing relationships, in relationships, your relationship is, at the beginning of your relationship is going to be different than the middle of the relationship and towards, the end of the relationship. Before you have children, there's gonna be a certain nurturing that you have to do because there's no kids. Then there's a certain nurturing that you do because there's children involved. And then when the children get involved, there's a certain relationship that you do when the children are small versus when you get a whole bunch of teenagers. Because teenagers can make or break a marriage, I can tell you.
Mhm.
Yeah, we became a self-help.
Or even young adults, they can also too, so you have to learn to nurture your relationship differently at each stage of the relationship.
Mhm.
That is so
Because if you
true.
don't, because I always used to wonder, they've been married 50 years, why are they getting a divorce? Because things changed once the kids left the house or once the kids became teenagers. And generally in a relationship, a lot of times we handle the children differently than you would. And then that generally causes sometimes friction if you guys aren't on the same page.
Yeah.
So, you have to learn how to compromise. So you just have to be in each stage of relationship, you have to realize that this is a different stage and we have to reevaluate what we're doing.
That is so true, especially when children are smaller. With Jeremiah and myself, when the boys were smaller, especially since we had so many, and then we still had the girls on the weekend, we always kept them in something. We tried our best to keep these kids busy because after having a long work week, there was no way we were going to sit at home with these rugrats. That was crazy. So outside of, temple or taking the boys to Bible study, Saturdays was all about their football or basketball or whatever season it was sports that they were in. And usually during the week, we had to make time for them with practice and stuff like that. So it's like we were just constantly busy. But as kids get older, and they don't need that same dedication, because now they do it on their own independent, when they get into high school, it's like, what are you doing in that relationship? But what took over that time? Because see, we
Exactly.
seem to then obligate ourselves elsewhere, but not nurturing or obligating ourselves in that relationship. So you're right, because it's like, do you become now too busy for one another? It's like
Yeah.
a spouse, like I said, a spouse should never have to make an appointment with their spouse. Time should just be there. Time should be there, but sometimes as you grow and find free time, you feel it naturally. Maybe you work more. Some people might take on a second job. But you're right. I guess it does. I've never looked at it that way, but it does. It changes.
It does, and you
And
have
you
to
have to
change with it
be, I
and flexible.
just realize that. Yeah, it does change. Because what happens when there are no kids in the house then?
Yes, we're going through that now,
Yeah.
and it's different.
Yeah.
So do you work all the time?
Well, and that does
What's your free
happen.
time?
Nurturing point, see, last weekend, traveling, I was able to spend some time with my queen. No children, no grandchildren, just get immersed in one another. Have to be able to do that, because otherwise when you get so busy with the children, it can be exhausting. And then when that's not there, it's like, like when the little ones come in, they can't wait to see you. And then when they start to be teenagers, they don't love us no more. It's like, we always all that, just as long as we putting food on the table, that's all they're concerned about.
As phones and food, shoot, we sometimes go 3 days and don't even see our child
Oh.
Now,
in the house.
Just the programming note. As smart and sharp as Abigail is, I don't want nobody to misconstrue that. She's got one of the sharpest brothers on the planet.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So she got to stand on her toes. So I don't want nobody to misinterpret what I said when
Yeah.
I was talking about her
Yeah.
in reference to him.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, our women are very sharp. We have to catch on sometimes. Like you say, sometimes we're like slower. We have to say it a couple more times. But at what point, like, do we come together, in a relationship? You've been together for, however many ever years, and then all of a sudden, you're at a different level in your life. What point do you come together and say, hey, I've been doing a lot of soul searching, and I have came into myself. People are always, embracing themselves, trying to figure out, the world, the spirituality, etc. What point do you come together and say, we have to establish some type of mutuality when it comes to communication, effective communication? At what point, or did y'all ever come to that point where, you sat down and say, this is how what we need to do to move forward to make sure that we're on the same page,
But you asking a question?
Yeah, I'm putting a question out there.
At what point? do you-
I mean.
Because this is the other side. You've seen, you know how spiritually he has grown, and we have noticed, at times that we take on a lot, because in our heads, there's a lot to be done. This society isn't in the best shape. We deal with a lot of discrimination in our communities. We see a lot of our youth that are out of place, and we see how we can give back to that. And sometimes as we think about these type of things, our relationship, of course, is at the forefront. However, it can interfere with that. So the question is how we come together and, understanding the need for whatever the purpose is, but also at the same time stay glued together so there's no friction or conflicts. And I know, sister, y'all may be the bigger ones to comment on this or just give some.
Yeah, well, I actually do want to comment, but only from the angle that I know, but I have used it in my relationship towards you. But it was taught to me in sales, because I've always been in sales. And the one thing that they always teach you in sales, if you want to sell that client something, if you want to sell anybody something, the first thing you have to do is let them talk. and you let them talk so that you can learn them. And as a person transitions in your relationship, what we often forget is we have to relearn our mate. Because if you don't take the time to learn them, how are you going to effectively communicate with them if you don't know them? So usually I'll sit back and watch and listen, because if you watch and listen, then you know how to approach and sell, but most importantly, close your deal. Because if that client sat there and talked to me about kids, why would I say this is really good for dogs? That's not gonna sell it. I need to tell you why this is going to make your life so much better for these kids and how much they're gonna love it. That's how I'm gonna get through effectively through you. But if I never take the time to study you as a person, listen and know what your likes and happinesses are, I can't sell you.
What you say?
Oh, well, I threw a temper tantrum. Fortunately for me,
Sometimes education will work too.
fortunately for me, my mate is a calmer person than I am and heard me. And
And what, I'm gonna speak to your point as directly, because as we grow emotionally, spiritually, it's like you and your mate may grow at different levels. You might even be growing in different directions.
Sure.
You can have different interests. You just have to, part of that communication is being very honest. You have to have a balance to know that, like, we see the suffering of our people, and those of us who know, well, we have something that we feel we need to give back. So we have to be able to give that back. But we have to be honest enough with our mate to know that I can't give all of it back and leave the relationship. So that's where communication and compromise and respect that, you need your personal time, I need my personal time. And we still have to be able to come together and respect it. But if I go all out into the community and to the outreach and to the cares and the problems that we need to solve in this world, and forget that I do have a mate, then you might get back home after saving the world and you may lose your mate.
Yeah.
So you have to have that balance to understand that I gotta give some time here, but I can't give all of it because I gotta be able to put some of this time back.
Okay, so
I
I guess the next question is,
Yeah.
what does a balance look like?
Yeah.
in
Well,
a
this is
relationship?
what balance is this, I feel too. Your passion should be acknowledged and respected by your mate. However, your passion may not be their passion,
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
and that's okay.
yes,
You can't say or expect, because that's not reality. Well, I'm here and I'm doing this, and you gonna get up here with me because we gonna do this.
Yeah.
That's
not
no,
realistic.
it's not realistic.
It's selfish.
It isn't. So the balance is to just be honest, in my opinion, relationship with watching that mate, looking for those signs to say, hey, this is what I'm really passionate about, and I'd love to feel more support from you. And then for that mate to say, okay, well then what does that support look like?
Mhm.
And just because you say what that support looks like, don't mean that the mate still have to do it, just because that's still going to your wants and needs. But then that's where compromise should be allowed to come in to say, okay, hey, I ain't gonna do that. Just like when somebody call you for some money, you're like, well, how much you need? And they say, well, honey, I ain't gonna give you all that, but I mean, I need $50. We gonna have to compromise. Because you should have had your light bill money, But still, so it has to be that balance. That's for me.
Okay.
Well, because I'd like to say that a lot of times the thing that generally makes, for me, you a good person is also sometimes annoying at the same time. Because I love the passion that you have for the community and everything, but then sometimes it does take up a lot of your time, which is then the annoying part.
Mhm.
But the other part makes you who I fell in love with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's so true.
That's true.
That's communicating, but that's having an honest conversation that this bothers me. When you're spending too much time, you're not spending enough time with me. That's an okay conversation to have.
Yeah.
Or we're spending too much time together. That's an okay conversation to have. Because if you don't, then I'm thinking one thing, she's thinking something else. And as time goes on, that rift becomes, this little water river becomes the ocean. And then sometimes you can't get back across.
Yeah,
Yeah.
drowning.
Yeah.
And I think the other side of it is, like having that conversation, like when you have that conversation, I always look at it as two different forms of communication, of speaking to a person. You can speak at a person or you can speak to a person. The difference is you can speak at a person as if they're object, or you can speak to a person as their subject. And I think when we go into like effective communication, I think we need to understand that, because it's not just a form of just saying, I need you here. There's, because we talk about the ego, we both have egos, and that ego, it depends whatever it is that you're thinking. And that comes from a belief system that's embedded in our subconscious. And that ego is going to defend it to the utmost.
Even if you're wrong.
Even if you're wrong, that ego is gonna say, listen, I don't care what you say. I know the moon come out every night, but I ain't seen it. I know the sun come up every day, but I ain't seen it.
Right.
I'm inside.
Well, at this time, we're gonna take a short break, and we'll be right back. Hey, this is Jeremiah Israel here, author and host of Live Talk. Just to ask you a question. Have you purchased the new book, The Spiritual Significance of a Name? If not, why not? The Spiritual Significance of a Name is a book that can really put you on a journey to defining who you are. Have you ever searched for your purpose or wondered about your purpose? Have you ever considered or thought about the names that you may name your children, or even the name that you may have? These are all powerful thoughts that comes across your mind, and it's all given to you through the Most High, because He put us on this earth with a purpose, and you can define your purpose within your name. Pick up the book today. Go to www.yeremiahisrael.com. That's www.yeremiahisrael.com and purchase the book. Now you can get 20% off. Website at yeremiahisrael.com. Purchase the book so you can be on your journey to defining your true purpose. All right, welcome back to Live Talk. As we was having this powerful conversation about nurturing a relationship, I want you to be able to kind of go back and listen to the playback, because we're gonna move forward with the ambassador thoughts of the day. Ambassador, what you have for us?
Oh, this week, it's so much going on. What hit me this week was the lack of information put out about the push to get Black students into Ivy League colleges. And I've been watching this one sister, her name is Tiffany D. Cross, and she has a show on MSNBC, you know, and it started like in November last year. And she is always promoting and pushing, you know, the consciousness in the community. But what I like about the show so much is that it's almost like an urban show. She you know, she was talking about the I can't remember the girl name from CBS, not Kelly Ripa, but the other one, always out here starring stuff with, you know, minorities.
Oh, like Kelly and Conway or something like that?
Her. Oh man, the way she was talking about her, she was like, girl, bye. You don't want this smoke, you know, and I'm like, in that first I was kind of like, oh, hold on, sis, you know, but I know they'll probably tell her, you know, give us some of that passion, give us some of that fire, you know, because it's a push to get our people more involved in the news, you know, because you figure a lot of our people is not, you know, watching worldly news events.
Yeah.
You know, they may check for the local news and see what happened down the street because they heard some gunshots or something like that. But today she had a topic about Harvard, and Harvard has a international debate team that is geared towards Blacks, and they had the first Black duo to win a debate at Harvard. 16-year-old Imani Staten, who is going to college. She's putting in registrations at Harvard and Georgetown and other Ivy Leagues for bioengineering. 18-year-old Julia Jackson, they're both from Atlanta, and she's want to do astrophysics.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
and I just found it to be amazing that something so powerful is not getting attention. You know, especially with COVID going on. And, you know, I spoke about COVID for the last couple episodes, and I kind of had, hold on. You know, hold on. You know, I want our people to be conscious of this thing, but this is something that needs to be promoted. You know, scripture teaches us to edify one another, you know, every day. And this is something that needs to be edified, because a lot of people feel that, you know, you don't have to be an astrophysicist or bioengineering to go to an Ivy League. You know, you can have other academic training, right? But the thing is, what I really wanted to put out was that is your reparations. You just have to work for it. You know, your reparations is scholarships, grants. Those are the reparations that we've been crying and hollering about for so long. And another thing that struck me was that Harvard, out of all of the Ivy Leagues, Harvard has the highest percentage of Black students. And I felt that was like, whoa, because I hear Harvard and I just think the good old boys, and, you know, but anyway.
We don't welcome there.
Right, you know, but they came with that initiative because times is changing. You know what I mean? These are institutions that was founded on our people backs. And they're not, you know, let's just be honest, you can't take someone who don't have anything and then give them everything. You're not responsible enough to use it. You're not responsible. What are you going to do with it? You know, right now, a lot of our people, they're getting this money just to turn around and give it right back to them. You know, And they seeing that, so they like, well, here's this and here's that, but it comes in the form of grants and stuff. But I wanted to just shed some light on Tiffany D. Cross. She has a program on MSNBC called The Cross Connection and what she's doing, and also for those students that won the debate out of Atlanta, Georgia.
All right.
2 young black students,
2 young black students.
one for Harvard.
Most definitely. Most
See, so
definitely.
nobody would be talking about that. You would think that would be heralded.
Right,
Why
right.
they keeping that a secret?
Right. Especially in our community, this is something that, they made such a big deal about Kamala Harris, not to take away her achievements and everything. But as we have here with the youth edition, we must edify our youth. We must showcase our youth. All our youth ain't wearing red and blue or green and yellow flags. All of them are not hoochie mamas or thoughts or whatever they call them. We need to showcase this to inspire the other youth, to get the other youth involved. So I want to just put a spotlight on that.
Yeah, and shout out to the young prince. He did a oratorical where he had to go and speak.
Our very own.
And he got a scholarship.
Definitely.
Did a great job. So shout out to our youth.
Congratulations. On the top.
Yes, sir. But thank you for that, Ambassador. Well, it's the part of the program where I get to share with everyone my book reading and what I have been reading. And one of the books I want to mention outside of Spiritual Significance of a Name, make sure you go to my no, stop. I'm always talking about the spiritual significance of a name. Make sure if you haven't, you can go to my website, yeremiahisrael.com, and you can purchase that book. Right now it's 20% off. But I want to highlight the book, The Art. This one is the Art of Power, and it was written by Dick Hatan. Is that okay? He's
Thick,
yeah,
not hun.
yeah. But I think it's Hotnon. Yeah,
Yeah, not
Hotnon.
none.
Okay.
I
talks
just said,
about-
I said slowly. so-
I'm glad y'all said that one.
Yeah.
That's a tongue twister.
In this book, he talked about the art of power. Now, we often see power as wealth, fame, sex, fancy food, and lots of sleep. But in this book, he comes from a very unique standpoint. He comes from a standpoint of spirituality when it comes to the art of power. And he breaks down 5 spiritual powers. And the 5 spiritual powers that he breaks down is faith, diligence, mindfulness, concentration, and insight. Now, of course, he goes deep in each one of them. But when he mentioned faith, and I kind of like the perspective, I like all the perspectives he came from. But in here it says, but the word faith is better translated as confidence and trust. Now, he said, because it is about something inside you and not directed towards something external. We always see faith from a point of view of, having faith that something external is going to happen, right? But there's a certain part of you that you have to have confidence and trust within yourself. And that's the faith that he speaks about. And I think we don't really acknowledge that enough when it comes to the spiritual side of us, understanding that, that creative side of us, So I really, I recommend this book, The Art of Power. And it comes from a standpoint that's different than what you may have ever read before, because it's a spiritual side to everything. And I think he comes from that spiritual side that brings a lot of attention to who you are. And that just kind of goes back to, the spiritual significance of a name, just teaching about who you are and connecting you with the Most High. So that's my book read of the week. I think we're at that part of the program where we get ready. If we don't have any other announcements, any one of you want to bring forth before we sign out? All right, so we'll start with you, Minister. You want to sign out?
Just want to thank our listening audience today. Hopefully you enjoyed the message. Of course, Live Talk is about us having a conversation and helping us to grow. So we look forward to returning.
Okay. All right, but yeah.
Yeah, as the minister said, appreciate everybody for tuning in. You know, where else can you get real conversation and also get some business insight? You know, you just got a free seminar. Peace, peace.
There we go.
I thank you, gentlemen, for allowing us ladies to join you on the show and on this conversation as we talk about relationships and the aspects of it. It was a great series that we took everyone through. I hope everyone enjoyed the information. We talked about what to look for to how to keep it. So.
And as well, we thank you ladies for coming on to the program. Like always, I thank my co-host. I thank my engineer that's in the background. You can follow us on Facebook at the Education Center ORL. That's on Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube at the Education. Well, you can follow us on YouTube at Live Talk Education Center Orlando. You'll be able to pull up all the previous episodes and etc. It's Live Talk Education Center Orlando. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Facebook as well. And also, YeremiahIsrael.com. Go to YeremiahIsrael.com. You can get the book, The Spiritual Significance of a Name. I almost choked. You can get the book, The Spiritual Significance of a Name, and you can get other things as well. We have other items, and we're going to have other seminars that's going to be coming soon. We're going to have the ebook that's going to be coming out soon. I'm very excited about that. I definitely will be letting y'all know when that comes out. But until next time, next week, I'm going to say peace and prosperity. We out.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
For live.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
This live.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
Live talk.
For the word of the day, the knowledge and the wisdom will increase your faith. Are you ready for live talk?
Yeah.
Because it's about time to set it
on.
off. Are you ready?
Let's go.
For the word of the day,
Hey.
the knowledge and the wisdom will increase your faith.
Say
Are you ready
what?
for live talk?
Yeah.
Because it's about time to set it off.
Live talk. This live talk. Live talk.
Living in vital energy, the universal language spirituality. Living in vital energy, the universal language spirituality.
We're going all the way live with it. With live talk, increase your mentality, put away carnality, and increase your spirituality.
Are
Let's
you
go.
ready?
Live talk.
Are you ready?
This live talk.
Are you ready?
Live talk.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
Live talk.
For the word of the day, the knowledge and the wisdom will increase your faith. Are you ready for live talk? Because it's about time to set it off.